Hey creatives, welcome back to my channel. In case you're new here or you don't recognize me because of the new haircut and the long no time no see, my name is Nele and I used to make videos about bullet journaling, creativity and self-compassion. That sounds really dramatic, but today I'd like to talk about the future of my YouTube channel and some thoughts I had during my YouTube break. And I'm not making this video because I feel like a person of significant relevance to culture and the world, but because at least one person has asked where I have been, and I appreciate that, and because I thought some of my thought processes might be interesting and something that is not talked a lot about on social media. So here we are. So I think I began my YouTube break in February this year. I believe I didn't post my February setup and just did it for myself because I really felt like I needed a bit of space for myself and for my journaling, but also I felt kind of uninspired and unmotivated, and honestly the process of filming a video and doing all the creative stuff in a video became quite tedious and just like a huge chore, and it got really hard to push myself to do that. So I thought the most logical thing to do would be to take a break. And besides the break I took from creating YouTube videos and posting them, I also took a break from watching YouTube videos. I really felt the need to take some steps back, and so I spent 1 week not watching YouTube at all, and I felt a huge change in my mental well-being. And the main reason why I wanted to do that kind of experiment was not some fancy sort of dopamine fasting or something, but because I felt like I got away more and more from my own thoughts, feelings and needs. And maybe you can relate to that, but I had a more and more difficult time to figure out what I really wanted and what things came from myself and not from the outside. And I felt in that week where I didn't watch YouTube that it had a huge positive effect on me not to watch what other people were doing, saying, thinking, feeling, and especially seeing so many people succeed with their creative passion, for example, or whatever it might be that you follow. And so to sum my whole break up, I had a lot of thinking about whether I really want to pursue YouTube and bullet journaling as a public thing on the internet. And I also realized that I have to watch a lot less what other people do in order to find out what I really want and to figure out if the things I believed I wanted in the past were actually my own dreams and goals and wishes, or if they were all coming from the internet. So as you may or may not know, last year, I believe somewhere in the middle, I'm not sure anymore when exactly it happened, I reached monetization on YouTube. And even though it was of course an exciting and very cool milestone, hitting 1,000 subscribers and being able to make a little bit of money with what I actually enjoyed a lot, making money on YouTube was never the reason why I started, and it also wasn't a goal for a long time. I started my channel because I am passionate about bullet journaling and because I had this idea of starting a YouTube channel for quite a lot of years and I never had the courage, but I guess mostly out of curiosity and because I thought it could be fun, I started my channel. And it was fun, but I realized that as soon as the likes, the followers, the comments, as well as the monetization obviously came in, I had a really hard time to free myself from feeling pressured and to put some sort of expectation of performance on myself, if that makes sense. And when I took my break, I thought about whether I could go back to having just fun and sharing my videos without feeling pressured if I stop the monetization of my channel and not feel the need to perform a certain way, to reach certain views, to make my videos function in some way. And even with that thought, I didn't really have the urge to create anything. I didn't find the motivation or the inspiration for any videos. And I also thought about changing up my videos a bit, stepping out of the bullet journal bubble and doing other creative stuff and sorts of things. But it all came back to that I feel like I can't separate having fun on the internet and being creative on the internet and not feeling pressured about it and reaching something with it. Which brings me to the point that I called the age of content creation in my notes. And if you're somewhere in my age, I'm 26 now, you and me are the first real generation, I would say, that kind of grew up with social media and that saw all the rise of social media platforms, of content creators, of influencers, and of almost every single trend and phenomenon, excuse me, you know what I'm trying to say, that has occurred since. And we were also the first generation to experience the internet as this sort of opportunity and option for endless jobs, getting promised that not just content creation but all kind of sorts of more or less sketchy things on the internet would be this sort of gold mine. And if you would follow your passion, if you would work in content creation and do what you love, that would equal happiness and success for life. And while all of that happened and happened pretty fast, I think we didn't really learn, hear or see a lot about the downsides, and maybe that is happening, and some creators speak up about their struggles, about their burnouts, about the issues with hate and whatever on the internet. What we mostly see is just the surface, and that is just looking too good to be true. We see successful people, happy people, pretty people, all kinds of people that we think we want to be or we should be. If we would be more aware what the costs are of creating on the internet, of earning money on the internet, of being a public person on the internet, maybe we would think a bit different, but we weren't taught about all these things, and they're still not the major thing we see online. And if you watch people talk about their experiences, their struggles, the downsides of their online jobs on social media, I think it becomes pretty clear that you have to be a certain type of person to be able to deal with all that, to deal with the pressure, the publicity, all that kind of stuff. Even if I just had a super small channel that didn't really reach anything, I can tell that the downsides are still there when you're starting out, and the pressure is there, and no one really talks about that. Overall, I can say that I realized that I'm just not the type of person that is very good at finding a healthy way to deal with all of that and to separate private life from social media and to find a way to consume and create that doesn't drain all of my energy and makes me feel shitty and all that. And also, I really fell for this narrative that once you find what you're really passionate about, it will be easy to create content about that thing on and on and on. I follow quite a few bullet journal people on YouTube who post regularly, almost weekly to several times a month, and they just keep producing new ideas and new content. But to be honest, for me, the novelty of creating videos about my bullet journaling, sharing my setups, coming up with new ideas, that wore off super quickly, because I'm just the type of person that has only very few things that I follow through for a longer time than a year or something. And so even though I still bullet journal, and bullet journaling has been the thing that I have been doing for 6 or 7 years now constantly, the fun of creating videos about it is just kind of gone, to be honest. I started to think about privacy and intimacy on the internet in my break, but also because I read 1 or 2 books about social media. I can say that the older I get, I start to understand my dad more and more, who was really worried and not super happy when I started posting stuff on blogs and the earliest social media platforms when I was around 13. But I guess as a teenager you really don't care about the consequences, and you can't really imagine the consequences, and I'm not even sure if that is something that gets talked about enough nowadays, and if generations now grew up with better knowledge about what their actions on the internet might cause, and thinking about the bigger picture, who can see what you're sharing online. I mean, I'm also kind of torn because I definitely know the benefits of people sharing their personalities and their stories and their lives online, and what it can do to find people who feel like they had the same struggles or something like that. And if there weren't people speaking about mental health and all those kinds of things online, then we probably wouldn't be where we are now, and I would have not been able to get clarity about things in my life that definitely helped me to feel better about myself. But at the same time, I started to ask myself now whether I really want to be, or I even have to be, that kind of person that shares those things online and be that person for other people. Because obviously there are millions of people on the internet who already do that. And I think I just didn't ever really consider the option that you can choose whether you want to share or not. Now I'm at the point where I am a little bit creeped out by the thought that people all over the world at any time could find out pretty personal things just by the videos I shared online or something like that. And besides that, the other thing that we probably all know about but we decide not to think about is how much we feed about ourselves into all these big companies like Google, YouTube is Google, I believe, Instagram, Facebook, and so on, and what that actually means for us. And of course I don't have a solution for that, because I believe that we're probably already way too deep into that, but it is something to think about and to ask yourself, how much should you share, whether it's with YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or with Google and ChatGPT. Overall, I think that's just something that we don't talk a lot about, especially on social media. So besides sharing really personal information and thoughts and texts and all those kind of things online since I've been probably 14 or something, I also hugely got influenced by this idea of monetizing my hobbies. And I guess that's probably a bit related to my kind of path in life, because I used to be hugely passionate about photography. I started with photography blogs and went over to Instagram and that. And photography has just always been this kind of hobby and passion that I really, really loved, and that for me felt like the only option as a job for me. And that's what I tried, and that's what I failed with. But since then, I always had the thought, whenever I started a new project, a new hobby, a new interest, whatever, that I could monetize it, that I could make it a profession, or that I could reach some sort of something with it, that I could become somewhat successful with whatever it was that I was interested in. So I started a lot of blogs, I had a lot of Instagram profiles, all those kind of things, and nothing ever really worked out, and nothing really was something that I pursued for a long time. But since I spend so much time in a bubble that I would say is like the self-improvement, self-optimization, self-help bubble, all those kind of things, I started to adapt this idea that following your passion and making your passion your job would bring you all the happiness, success, fulfillment, and all these things in life that we should long for. And if we are not striving for that, then something's wrong. So I've been brainwashed probably quite a long time, and it just started over the last maybe 2 years that I thought about that, and if that is really something that I want to keep doing in life and to myself. So right now, with all these thoughts that started happening, I also got into a little bit of a creative crisis, I would say. So even though I don't really want to think this way, I'm still feeling like if I'm not doing something like, for example, photography for money or for the benefits of sharing online, getting likes and followers and people saying that your work is great or whatever, what am I doing it for? And what is the reason to go and take photos, and is it even worth something? And of course it should be worth something if you're just doing it for yourself and because it makes you happy, but I can't get myself to do that. It just doesn't fulfill me anymore, and maybe it just takes a lot of time to kind of deprogram yourself from all these thoughts you started to believe. But it's just really frustrating because I feel like nothing is really worth giving even a try if it's no use for something, you know? There's still so much text here and the video will be super long. So this is something that I believe isn't really talked a lot about online as well, that for sure it can work for people to follow their passion and to make their hobby their job, if that's online or offline. I believe it can be fulfilling, but it can also be the opposite. And I learned the hard way that making your hobby a profession is not the ultimate path to happiness, because I felt pretty shitty when I was a photographer and I struggled so much with everything that it became just a fight, and forcing myself to do these things, I quit in the end and I decided that's not the right thing for me. And I think the same just kind of happened with YouTube when I started considering it to be maybe a possible career path for me, and now just realizing it's not, because I lose fun as soon as I try to monetize what's usually fun for me and make it a job. And that's something that I think everyone should consider before starting content creation or wanting to make knitting their job, whatever, you know. Not saying that you shouldn't, but I want to say there are always more than one side of the story, and there's no one way to success or happiness, and what works for someone else might not work for you. So that brings me back to my channel and bullet journaling online, because that's obviously what I did. And when I started my channel, I thought that I would not fall for the pressure and that making videos could not affect my bullet journaling practice and my joy of using my bullet journal. And still, the more it worked out, the more people joined my channel, the more comments I got, and as soon as the monetization set in, I started to feel the pressure and felt like I needed to perform in some sort of way and deliver some kind of videos that I believed people would expect. And I also thought that I wouldn't fall for the trap of making your bullet journal look pretty, and then I decided to dedicate a whole year to a specific kind of theme and creative type of bullet journaling, and it sucked. I definitely lost interest in that in February this year. I just realized that I couldn't really clear my mind and my expectations from what YouTube started to put on me. Even though that was probably self-made pressure, and I believe that if you just do whatever you want, it can still work. But on the other hand, we also know that YouTube algorithm and so on, and people like clarity know what you get on a channel, and that if you want to reach something, a niche is a good thing to have. And with the feeling of doing my bullet journal setups for the views and the eyes of other people, I felt like I got away more and more from journaling just for myself. I mean, let's be clear, I would lie if I'd say that I don't care or didn't care about the views, because as soon as you have a little audience, I think it's pretty natural that you start comparing your videos to one another and get frustrated if one doesn't work out as well, and on the other hand also look at other people, what they're doing, how that is working out. And it's really hard to free yourself from that if what you're doing means anything to you, I believe. I guess that you have to really have a strong I don't care mentality to not get affected by numbers. And one last note on that, I realized how easy it is to overshare in videos. I mean, we also kind of like when people open up, when they are authentic and honest and all these things, and it is really easy to say something in the safety and the cave of your home, let's say it like that, and put it in a video, and then you have something really personal out there. As well as when I shared my bullet journal flip-throughs. After a while, or at least now, I feel like that was so much stuff that doesn't belong on the internet, even though I think it's nice to share something that doesn't look as perfect as a lot of bullet journals you see out there. But I decided to take these videos to private now because I feel more comfortable not sharing my whole year and my most inner thoughts and all those kind of things online, and it is just too tedious and ridiculously annoying to blur a specific information. So yeah, I think I came to a conclusion that I shared stuff here that I don't feel comfortable anymore that it has been out there. And just to let you know, there are some videos that are private now, and yeah, so much for bullet journaling online. So that was a really long way till here. If you're still here, cool! I don't know if I could have listened to myself for that long. But now let's get to the point of what is my plan for my channel and how does the future of NelesNotes look. When it comes to decisions like this, I tend to have an all or nothing thinking. Maybe you're familiar with that, but for me, for quite a while, there was only, should I quit and delete my channel, or should I just try harder and try to keep going? And to be honest, I don't know. And that is why I decided all or nothing is not the way to go here. I will keep my channel up and see what's gonna happen. To be transparent here, I stopped the monetization of my channel, and I also hopefully deleted the support tiers on my Patreon page. Yes, I do have a Patreon page that I didn't talk about at all in this video, but that was a huge part of all of this as well, because I think A, it should take away the pressure, B, I don't want people to support me if there's nothing really to support anymore, and C, I'm planning on deleting my business that I have registered. So yeah, I won't make money with YouTube, and I think I at least quit the idea of YouTube being a possible job option, at least for now. Who knows what will happen in the next years, but for now I've said goodbye to that. And when it comes to future content, as I said, I don't know. At the moment, I'm not feeling the urge to share something. And yeah, there might be videos at some point, or maybe there won't be videos anymore. That's something I can say for certain right now. I can just say at the moment, I'm not feeling the need to share anything, to film anything, and I'm not feeling inspired or motivated or passionate about it anymore. And so all I can say is, we see. So before I say goodbye, I wanted to draw a little conclusion of the main points I wanted to transport with this video in case they got lost somewhere along the way. And the first thing is that not everybody has to be or has to want to be a content creator, and content creation can be fun, but it also might not be the right thing for everybody, and that is totally fine. And I want you to be aware, if you're playing with the thought of content creation, or if you're just looking at all these successful people online, that YouTube, Instagram, TikTok and so on can be fun and it can work out, but it can also turn into pressure and other negative sides pretty quickly, and you don't even have to hit 1 million followers to feel affected by that. And then, as I said, I think we should talk and think more about privacy online and what we really want to share of our lives on the internet. It's out there, everyone can see it. You're feeding big companies your information and they make money out of that and probably manipulate us in ways that we can't even imagine. Keep that in mind, can't be wrong. And last but not least, I realized that goals can change, projects can change, and they can lose importance and the fun and joy that you had in the beginning. And that is fine. It's fine to quit something, it's fine to pause something, and we shouldn't stress ourselves so much about that stuff. And it can be beneficial to take a step back and not focus so much on what other people do and listen to ourselves sometimes. And with that being said, I'm finally at the end. It took me so long. And I hope that this can be somewhat helpful to someone, or at least interesting, or that it maybe just sparks one thought in someone else's head. I guess that's it for now. We just see what the future brings. Maybe we see us in another video, maybe not. Besides that, I'm just wishing you well. I hope you're doing great, and that, yeah. Oh geez, how do I say goodbye now? That's it. Bye.